Think about that invitation for someone to take action based on how much they like what they've seen from you in this email. I am Caron Shahrestani of Caron Modern Media. I'm also the social media manager and video girl for Marin Open Studios. Today's training in our Zoom workshop series is about email marketing basics. We'll be covering all the different reasons why you should be putting your art out there in the world via email. And when we talk about email marketing, it's categorically different than just regular email. The difference between email and email marketing is that with marketing, you are trying to sell a product. And anytime you're trying to sell a product, no matter what the platform, social media, advertising, email, when you involve yourself in marketing your art via email, for instance, you want to be able to look at analytics and statistics as to how many people opened those emails, how many people read the email to the bottom, or clicked a button, or watched a video. And part of the work that I do for Marin Open Studios right now during COVID is to help them have a steady flow and stream of email marketing content, which means that anytime you open a Marin Open Studios email, that gets reported back to us as far as what time of the day you opened it, whether or not you clicked any of the links. And of course, unfortunately, it happens. Sometimes someone will unsubscribe. We've all been there in 2020 in COVID. I have unsubscribed from so many emails because I feel like people are coming out of the woodwork in the digital world trying to market their businesses when they hadn't really before. And so it's very important what we are discussing today, because you don't want to waste people's time. Anytime that you're marketing, you don't want to waste people's time. You want to keep in mind that people have a short attention span. Maybe they don't like to read. This is the age that we live in. So you always want to maximize the eyeball space you have when it comes to email. And I'm really going to cover those basics that'll help you optimize it as well, meaning that more people will open your emails, more people will click your links, and ideally you'll be able to build a list, meaning that you have a growing list of people who want you to email them with your art updates. For today's training, we're covering free and paid email marketing platforms, building email lists, tips for writing impactful emails. And again, these are emails that get results, right? Subject lines and calls to action. I'll be giving you some details and examples on that, and embedding videos. Because for the most part, I think in any email platform, people kind of figured out how to put a photo in there. But sometimes the trickier thing is to have a clickable window in your email that someone taps it and it takes them to a video that immediately plays on YouTube, for instance. Full disclosure, I use Constant Contact for my business, Caron Modern Media. Marin Open Studios uses Constant Contact for their communications with you and with their sponsors and art patrons. And there is a possibility of using a free program, but both myself and Marin Open Studios pay Constant Contact for their email marketing services. Part of that is having access to this great platform. Part of it is to have a list of a certain size or be able to grow a list to a certain size. Right now, Marin Open Studios' larger list has over 4,000 people on lists that, with great power comes great responsibility. You don't want to send just anything to 4,000 people. And so Constant Contact is, I find, the most sophisticated, the most comprehensive, and it's worth every dollar. I will confess that in the last year, I've become a Constant Contact partner, which means that now technically I no longer pay for Constant Contact because I train other people on how to use Constant Contact on a deeper level. So if any of you on the call today have been thinking about Constant Contact and want to learn more, we can always chat, but just know that it is my preferred and it is Marin Open Studios' preferred platform. Some of the other examples I will show you today are from training clients who I work with, because I train people on Constant Contact, but I can train you on anything when it comes to email. So MailChimp is probably the most popular free platform out there in that it's been around a little bit longer, and I will be showing you examples of both Constant Contact emails and MailChimp emails that I've helped my clients write and build, and so you can kind of see in action. If you wanted to take a screenshot of these other 5, Sendinblue, Benchmark, OmniSend, Sender, MailerLite, I don't have any experience with these other platforms, but if you were to do a search on like in 2020, what are the best free email marketing platforms, these are the ones that are listed along with MailChimp. So if you want to kind of go out there and compare, I would check out these ones. But the number 1 for me and what we're looking at mostly today is Constant Contact, and number 2 is MailChimp. Oh, and just to put it out there, you can get a lot out of a free platform for these purposes. And for most artists, you're not necessarily like a big company with a bunch of employees or a big organization with a bunch of volunteers. So you don't necessarily have to pay. I decided to pay because I was really motivated to grow my list quickly when I started my business. And the free programs can sometimes have a limitation on the number of people's emails you can add. So that would be one of the main reasons why you would decide to pay a monthly fee to use an email marketing platform. It's if you're very motivated to build a growing list. Like, we're not talking a few dozen or even a few hundred. We're talking about when you want to get into the thousands, you should probably pay for it. The goal of building an email list is to grow your following and stay top of mind with people who like your work. In this age now where everybody is trying to pivot and make money in the digital space instead of having to depend on a brick and mortar art studio or brick and mortar art gallery, it's very important to stay top of mind with people, as in stay in the forefront and not the back burner, because there is so much digital content that is thrown to consumers on a daily basis now. Minute by minute, you could potentially have another 100 emails go into your email inbox if that person hasn't unsubscribed in a while or that kind of thing. So you just have to accept the fact that if someone is digitally connected, they're on social media, they check their email pretty often, they use the internet to purchase things, these people are advertised to constantly. And so one of the best ways to compete with the people who are advertising is to do an email marketing campaign and allow people to remember who you are, what it is they like about your art, why they're interested in your artistic process. Maybe they're not ready to buy a piece of yours now. You want to be top of mind when that wall space opens up, or when they have a lot of money to invest, or when they buy a new home. You want to be in that space mentally where someone can be like, oh, right, I have to contact Kate Carlson. Some methods of asking for emails are the traditional paper list at open studios. If you didn't do this before COVID, I highly encourage you to have some sort of list in your studio or your studio space. When complete strangers are able to come in and do an open tour, you should have a piece of paper that's like, join my email list. The more sophisticated and much less time intensive option is an iPad sign up. As in, not your phone, because that's a little small for some people, but you have a little iPad or tablet set up in your studio, and during open studios, you can hand it to somebody or refer someone to it and say, oh, if you don't mind putting your email on my list, they enter in the name in the name field, the email in the email field, they hit save, and whatever application you're using, because there are a lot of applications you can use for this, it'll save it for you as a contact card and potentially sync with your email marketing platform like Constant Contact. So Constant Contact has a lot of apps you can get for a tablet or an iPad where someone does name, first name, last name, email, and save. Simple as that. You don't want to ask people too much, right? And that'll immediately go into a list that you can pre-categorize that'll say something like, art event attendees, so that you always remember how you met that person. And then later you can make sublists, right? Maybe you have a master list of emails. You can have different emails. Like, I have an email list for people who have purchased art from me. And I have a list of people who I've met at like networking events or at Chamber of Commerce events or at expos or things of that sort, like we're exchanging business cards. So that helps you cater your content that you're sending via email to specific lists, which is very helpful. A sign-up form on your website is also something that is much less time intensive for you, because not only do you not have to tell anybody, oh, make sure you do. It's not only that a stranger doesn't have to walk into your physical brick and mortar space, you at any time should see your website as a storefront or a gallery front for your art. And if it's 2 in the morning and Susie Homemaker really wants to buy some art from an original local Bay Area artist, and 2 in the morning is the only time she can shop, and she sees your art and she likes it and she wants to be, included on your email list for your next virtual showing so that she can then have her husband come and look at some of your art with her or something like that. Having a form on your contact page or having a form on every page of your website that says join our email list or join our mailing list is one of the fastest ways that you can grow a list. Because as long as your website is relatively updated and is relatively pleasant to look at, it's a great way for people to take action. They come to your site, they love your art, now what do they do? They're not necessarily going to buy a $4,000 canvas off of you online, e-commerce, right there, charge my card, but they do want to keep you top of mind. They want to remember you when it's time for them to purchase art or refer art. Email or DM individuals and text or call individuals. This is just what it looks like. You call your aunt and say, Aunt Susie, or your niece or your neighbor, or you email the one person at a time or direct message on Facebook one person at a time, and you're like, Susie, I've started an email list. It's not going to be very often, maybe once a month, and it's going to be all about my art and my art events and my virtual events online. Do I have permission to put your email on the list, or would you like to join the list? Because some people in your life, you already have their email from something else. So it's reaching out to them one by one and being like, hey girl, I have your email. Do you mind if I include you on my art list? This saves you from an unsubscribe, but it's also a nice personal way to reach out to somebody, because that might turn into a conversation about how, oh, they've been meaning to custom commission something from you, or oh, they've been wanting to buy a print from you recently. Who knows if that reach out one-on-one could trigger them wanting to purchase some of your art right there. However, this is very time consuming to approach individuals and ask them to join your email list, but it's an easy way to get permission, because with Constant Contact and MailChimp, every time you make an email and add an email address, MailChimp is like, are you sure? Constant Contact is like, are you sure that you have the permission of this person to send them emails in any capacity? And so it's nice to know that you did, and that's one way to do it. Social media posts are another great way to build your list. You can create an email, you can send it to all of your people, and then in Constant Contact or in MailChimp, you have an option to share it. You can share it as a link, or with these platforms, you can actually put in your Facebook login or your Instagram login, or link it up to your Twitter or whatnot, and you can have the two platforms talk to each other. This is helpful because you can drive more traffic to your new email list from your existing social media following and friends. You can also just, take a little snippet of what you're talking about in your email marketing campaign, allude to it in a social media post, and say, if you're interested in joining my email list, click here, and you can have a link to your website with your contact page that has that sign up form. The last one I'll say is Zoom events. This is kind of similar to the individuals thing, where you could be at a Zoom event like you are right now, and you could privately, quietly, I wouldn't necessarily know, you can send a chat to someone and say, oh, hey, Barbara, I'm building an email list. Do you mind if I add you to it? That's the one-off, but it's more like next time you're at a Zoom event where you're speaking to attendees, it's really just mentioning, I have a new email newsletter that I'm putting out about my art, including my virtual events and new art printed products for the holidays, because the holidays are going to be here in 2 seconds. So let me know if you'd like to be on my list or if you'd like to join my list. So just think of it that way. Anytime you can ask people to trust you with their email address, which is a trust, it's a promise that you're not going to abuse it, that'll help you build. These are not, rules. These are tips, guidelines, something that you can follow when it's appropriate for you. I'd say for your email open rate, right? What percentage of people see your email and what percentage of them actually click and open it? That can be directly improved by putting more thought into your subject and your subhead. Your subject is the first line that people see when something comes into your email inbox. The subhead is a lighter font, not in bold, maybe not, it depends on if you're Gmail or whatnot, but it'll have a little preview text when applicable. These are opportunities to, in as few words as possible, hook people and get them to open the thing. So keep your subject and your subhead short, because if someone, for instance, is opening an email on a mobile device or on an iPad or tablet, it'll truncate it. It'll actually cut off that big, long, beautiful subject line you came up with right in the middle of the sentence, and someone won't even know that it's at an art show, or it's today, or it's Friday. You might inadvertently, through writing something too long, not actually give people the relevant information they would need to decide whether or not to open the email. So we'll look at some subject lines later. Limit your text to 20 lines. Lines as in from the left side of your email to the right side of your email. How many lines you have can depend on what size of font you use, right? If you use a 10-point or a 12-point font, which is a little small, I'd say, for email, because especially if someone's reading it on a handheld device, that can be a little small, but it's fine. Then you would be counting the actual lines of text as far as how many words can fit from left to right in the space that the email gives you, and you count from top to bottom. I don't really count titles or buttons or little things like that. And again, we'll look at some examples of this, but we're not talking sentences, as in you can write 20 really long, amazing paragraph like sentences. No, we're actually talking about counting the lines from top to bottom once you put the text into the email template. So I'll show you that. Limit your images to 3 or 4. And I don't feel like I have to say it here because we're all visual artists, but I'll say it anyway. Make sure you always have images in your emails. You got to have something. A picture of you would be perfect at some point in every email, because people will be like, which Kay Carlson is that? Which Beverly Brown is that? So you want to have something that identifies you. You want to have something that obviously reflects the subject of the email. If it's about art, if it's about the new Human Spirit show, if it's about the TEDx thing that's happening, like if you have an image for that, that counts. But try not to send out emails without any images. Just don't get too crazy with the images, because you all know that you have a gallery on Marin Open Studios with a lot of your work. So you shouldn't feel compelled to have to put all 10 of your most recent paintings you've done in one email. Try to leave a little mystery. Try to leave people wanting. Put a few, give them a taste, get them hungry, and then pop a button in their face that says, go to my Marin Open Studios gallery to see more. Include a YouTube video. A lot of the artists who are participating in Marin Open Studios this year have also submitted videos via YouTube to be included on our website, which is awesome, and featured on our social media. For all of you that have a YouTube video already, I would say attempt to put that video into every email that you send out, because, and I didn't put the statistic here, but videos have a 200% higher click-through rate than any other link you would have in an email. For some reason, especially with mobile and tablet, if someone sees a button or a little player that says watch now, and the device that they're looking at is kind of like uncomfortably small to read a novel on or to read a long email on, they are much more likely to flip their device horizontal and watch a quick video. So always think of an opportunity to include your existing video content in your email. It could be way at the bottom. You don't have to put it in every single one, but when it comes to the marketing side of it, looking at your statistics, you will see a dramatic increase in the number of people who actually go from your email to another place when one of those opportunities is to watch a video somewhere else. You want to brand your content with Canva. I am technically, the platform we're on right now is Canva. I'm actually considering offering a course on Canva, but it's almost like a Photoshop or a photo illustrator. It's a visual design platform that's free on the internet where you can make posters and other text effects on your art or on images of you. And it's great for posters, it's great for printed materials, but it's also great for social media and email marketing. When I show you examples of emails today, I'll tell you which one of those elements were made with Canva. And then use call to action buttons. So don't just say, sign up now, and then make that a link. It's like make a button, and a button is really just, in these platforms, a colorful square with pointy or rounded edges, and it has words in it. And if someone taps or clicks it, it'll take them somewhere else on the internet. So when you do a call to action button, you are calling people to do something. And we're going to look at a few examples of call to action buttons that work in this training. When you create a subject line, again, it's the first thing that people see. These are pretty short. You can make them longer than this, but try to limit more than 6 or 7 words, because there is a chance, if someone's not looking at your email on a regular computer or a laptop, that it'll get cut off, and you don't want that. You want to show that there is relevance to a timely action when you use calls to action in your subject line or try to get people to open your email. You want to show them that they better act now or act today. And when it comes to a subject line for an email, you also want to consider, how do I educate, inform, and empower people? What value will people take from this that will make them want to open the email? Some examples. You're invited to an art show. That's a good basic one, because some people will be like, who, me? I'm invited? Some of my most popular emails, and when I say popular, have the highest open rate, were with a simple, you're invited, art show Friday, or something like that, because people like the idea of being invited to a thing, especially now we all have like that nostalgia of when we could go out all the time and go to all the places. So when you feel like you're invited to something, it can feel special, even if it's a Zoom event. Sneak peek at new paintings. So this is why someone would maybe want to join your email list, is you're like, before I put it on my website, before I publish it on Marin Open Studios, I will be sending out an email newsletter with all of my newest art to all my collectors and fans. And if you want to purchase a piece from me, an original artwork, before I put it on my website and make it for sale to the general public, make sure you're on my email list. So sneak peeks and discounts and, all those little like VIP club type feelings that you can give people, where they're on your list so they can be the first one to know about your new artistic endeavors or events. Art auction, last day to bid. So you're really just saying, like, what is this email about? It's about an art auction. Don't even like, you're invited, sneak peek. There's mystery to those first two, but this one, you're putting the words right there in the front. Last day to bid puts a little bit of that, you got to hustle for it. 3 reasons to hire a framer. This is pulled directly from a training that I did with one of my clients, and we'll be looking at that example later. But think about all of the knowledge that you have as an artist that is actually peripheral to the making of the art. Like, we all know what our favorite, if you're a painter, we all know what our favorite paint is. We all know where we got our best brushes. We also know when it's better to frame a piece or not, depending on if it's a gallery canvas or right. So it's something where, what are the ways you can take your experience and expertise in the making of the thing that can educate people who follow you and make them feel like they're learning something from your experience that's peripheral to just knowing about your art. New art time-lapse video. And again, this is new, so you got the new in there. Time-lapse video, anytime you're able to put the word video into your subject line, that's going to increase the click-through rate. Because again, if someone's opening your email on a smaller device, they're going to be more open to the idea of watching something really cute and quick instead of reading something where they have to use critical thinking or make sure that their phone's bright enough or charged enough or that they have their glasses somewhere, right? It's a lot easier to watch and learn than it is to read and learn in this current age. Sad state of affairs, but it's true. And dun dun dun, my favorite subject line, whoops. I swear to goodness, this comes from my experience in newspaper reporting. Some people are watching you to watch you win. Some people are watching you and following you, waiting for you to fail. It comes from a good place in general, but they're just kind of holding their breath to see if you do anything wrong. And when you confess that you do something wrong, hello, Mr. President, but when you confess that you do something wrong, people are interested enough to go and see what your mistake was. And guess what? Your whoops, oops, wrongling, wrong, clarification on the art show. Oops, sorry, updated art show time. Oops, anytime you update like that, not too many times, let's not make it a regular thing. But this is an opportunity to get a higher click-through rate, a higher opening rate, meaning more eyeballs on your list will actually look at the thing if they get to kind of see what you did wrong. And who knows, that might actually make a fan out of a fake fan. You know, we can't choose who wants to follow us on social media necessarily or be on our email lists, but as they say, you know, all news, all press, all attention is good when you're trying to stay top of mind with people. Those were subject lines. These are calls to action, things you would put on a button, for instance. RSVP now at Eventbrite. This is a good one for a button because you're telling people where you're going. Like right now they're safe, right now they're in their email, but as soon as you say RSVP at Eventbrite or on my Facebook event page or however, people know where they're going next. And it's not like they're jarred or surprised or shocked by it. They expect to now go RSVP at an Eventbrite page. And it's nice to say that to people so that there isn't any mystery about what they're clicking and where they're going. Buy a print of this piece. So imagine if you sent out an email where it's your artwork and maybe it's your newer artwork and maybe it's some of your older artwork that now you're making prints of. Maybe it's an Etsy store you have. Maybe you're selling them through your website. But you can have a little button right underneath a piece of art that says, buy a print of this piece. And you're calling people to purchase something that maybe it's not an original, but they just have to visually like it to consider seeing, okay, well, how much is a print? Let me tap that. Bid today and win. So this is the auction idea, right? Like how exciting to think that you might bid on something and win something. So try to capture that excitement. On a basic level, call to action button is learn more. This is the most commonly used button on Facebook ads, Facebook advertisements, as well as Instagram, because it's the most used. It's the most optimized. People are like, on a basic level, you've given me what I need to know to make an educated decision on whether or not I want to learn more. So on a buttons on your email situation, if you can't come up with anything fancy and creative, learn more is perfect. Don't beat yourself up about not having like some amazingly unique verbiage. Learn more is a great call to action. Watch all my videos here. So maybe you have a YouTube channel now, or you've had one and it's got a couple videos on there. Maybe you want to have that button underneath your video that you shared in your email, and they can now see your other videos as well. And then ask me about custom artwork. You can have a button at the bottom of every email that says ask me about custom artwork, or if you want to talk in the third person, ask Kay about custom artwork or ask the artist about custom artwork. But think about that invitation for someone to take action based on how much they like what they've seen from you in this email. You want to maximize that. You want to optimize that. You want people to make a move after they've read your update and looked at your photos and seen what's going on with you. One, you upload your video to YouTube, and it has to be completely uploaded and published and public, not a private email. You tap share underneath your YouTube video, and there will be a link among other ways of sharing. One of them will be a link that you can copy. Then you open your email template, whatever program you use. You add a video player from your builder options, so I'll show you what that looks like. You select edit, so you edit the actual video itself to change the link of the player, and then that's where you paste the link that you just took from YouTube. You save it, and then I gotta tell you, if you're gonna put a video in an email, before you send it out to the masses, always, number 7, send a test email and open the test email and play the video. Tap the thing, make sure it goes to YouTube, make sure it works. Test emails are one of the best ways to make sure you don't make a silly mistake. Even if a mistake email can get higher clicks, test emails the strongest way to avoid having a broken link or a button that goes nowhere. So Georgette, who is not on the call at the moment, she's one of the people I've helped her with her email marketing a little bit, and she prefers to have her logo at the top. And this was obviously last year, Winter Open Studios 2019, and one nice big canvas. We kept it on a white backdrop to keep it super simple so it wouldn't take away from the art. So you would just have a nice white wall basically for that piece. We have a couple lines of text where she's talking about the art. This is what I meant, guys, earlier when I said 20 lines. These are your lines. Line number 1, 2, 3, 4, and we technically say 5. These are your first 5 lines of your email. 6, 7, 8, sure. 9, 10, 11. Here's her bio, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So you can tell that I did this email with her. We did not want to do more than 20 lines. There's not too many images. We've got image number 1, image number 2, right? Not too many images. We have a little video, which it was vertically filmed, but it does open in YouTube. It was uploaded to YouTube. And if we were to click that, take us straight to YouTube. And then you kind of have just this colorful block with event information in it, which is kind of visual in of itself, but it's not an actual photo or piece of art. So this is one example of a Caron approved email template, not too long. You've got your video, you've got your limited lines, you've got your limited visuals. We're not too button happy in this one, but that's okay. Email number 2, also from Georgette, is an article she and I wrote together, 3 qualities to look for in a framer. So this is pulling from that subject line I was telling you before. And that's what it said in her email. You can see up here in the left corner, 3 qualities to look for in a framer. So that's where people decided whether or not to open the email. She included a few photos of an actual framer that she loves. And we went a little long-winded on this one. It's a little longer than the 20-line limit because she got into really, okay, carpentry, craftsmanship, materials. But this is an educational email. She's not teaching people how to paint. She's teaching people how to respect the art that they're purchasing. And how nice is that as an accompaniment to art as a product? And then we've got her picture and her bio at the bottom. And with this, the alternative, if you were to make the shorter email version, is to have the first, let's say, 3 qualities to look for in a framer. Maybe we have 1 and 2, and then we say for the third one, go to my website, or for the third one, go to my blog, and you can have a page on your website called 3 qualities of a good framer. And imagine that, you're driving people from your email inbox to your website, which is for a lot of people, if you've spent time optimizing your website and making it pretty, you want more people to go there and check you out. These last 2 were both MailChimp. This is another training client, Joe Gren, also from Marin Open Studios. He had a little Santana pull quote at the top, update on a piece of art that got into a show, piece that he did and kind of the inspiration behind it, inspirations from other places, and then a fun little did you know thing at the bottom. So you can see how with this, he would have, without my training, made this a very, very long newsletter. And this is still kind of long, but what we did instead was he started talking about this painting and then he said, read more. And that button takes you to his website where he at length talks about the painting and where all of his other paintings are kept. If we go to this one, where it's talking about his inspirations, he talks just a little bit about these 3 images and why they inspire him. And then he says, read more. And again, it takes you to the website. So he's effectively driving traffic to a longer written blog or article that he has on his website, and he's driving people there from his email by not giving away all the goodies. So the example we saw with Georgette's email where we say 3 tips, she gave them the 3 tips, they're done, they're not left wanting or hungry for anything. With these ones, you read a little bit, you feel tempted, you click through and maybe read the rest. The best way to think of this is the traditional newspaper. You read the front page, you got a couple inches of text, and then it says go to page B12 or go to page A36 to read the rest of the article. That's how you should see email if you're struggling to keep them short, is have a longer version of the email living on the internet, on your website or on your social media, and direct them there from your emails. Instead of giving people a whole book in their email inbox, give them something short and palatable and easy to consume, and direct them to go somewhere else if they have more time. So as I said, I use Constant Contact. This is an email I sent out January 2018, I believe. But I wanted to show you kind of like the combination of what we've talked about. We've got a time-lapse video at the top. If you were to click this, it would go to YouTube and play a time-lapse of these dogs being painted. I have a button, like the video, order a dog portrait, and this takes them directly to the page on my website where they can fill out a form and order a custom painting. I also do some photography, so we've got an example of that there, photo price list, you know. And then at the bottom, this is the photographer side of me, I said, take better pet photos with these tips. And it's just based off of experience. This is a cat that I photographed. I was giving people tips on how to photograph their own pets. Granted, people could hire me to photograph their pet, but for people who would never hire me to take pictures of their cat, but they want to be better at taking pictures of their cat, here's a little bit of info. I'm not giving them like a whole seminar on how to do it, but just little points. So imagine how you could do that with art. Five reasons why you should not buy a giclée print. I don't know why you shouldn't, I'm just kidding. But you know, try to think of a way where your knowledge of art or your knowledge of sculpture or your craft, how you can communicate little tidbits of information to people on the consumer level. And then I actually had 2 videos in this one. So for the purposes of our training, because we have to get to Q&A, I basically just made a copy of an existing one to show you guys. If I wanted to add an art video at the top of this email, as you can see on the left side, we are in Constant Contact. We have what I mentioned earlier in the trainer, an email builder. These are different capabilities, elements that you can put into an email. If I take this, which says image, and click and drag it over here, I'll be able to add an image at the top, right? Can add a different image there than instead of having my logo. If I wanted to add a new text block, if I want to add a button, so this button right here that says bid now on Instagram, I clicked and dragged that here and then labeled it. When you add a button, just like when you add a video and you click it, you see how there's a capability to add a link. And when you hit edit, you can say exactly where you want that button to go. That's pretty much what you're doing when you embed a video into an email, because you're not actually downloading or uploading a video file into an email marketing template. You're just linking it to YouTube. So if we go over here, we're in build, and you see I hit more. There's a few basic options, and I hit click for more, and there's a video block. And if I click and drag it, over, and this little pink line appears wherever I can drop it. So if I put it right there, and right now it's just an empty player, it's just a blue space, you have not done anything. But if you click that and we hit edit, that's where it invites you to put in a YouTube link. And as soon as you enter in that link, a little thumbnail comes up and a play button appears over it, just like you've seen in emails before. So that's the basic of how to embed or add a video, but you do have to have an existing platform like YouTube or Vimeo in order to do that. We've reached our Q&A. I will check the chat and see if we have any questions. So Nini says, I pay per mailable name on my list from vertical response. Any experience with that? So Nini, there are a lot of different ways that these email marketing platforms make money, and sometimes it is per the number of emails that you have on your list. I don't have any experience with the per email charging format or vertical response, but I do highly recommend keeping your eye on the prize as far as growing a list and looking at the limitations of how many emails you can have with these free platforms. Next time, Beverly says, next time I will use the iPad instead of the paper list. I couldn't read the writing on half the people who came to my studio. Oh my goodness, and Beverly, they will enter their email in wrong too, or misspell their name on the on the iPad thing too. We can't help that, but at least when it is an iPad, for most of us, we've got it where when the keyboard comes up, it's pretty big letters. So at least that's, it's easy enough for people to figure it out. But yeah, the iPad thing is a lifesaver, Beverly. Otherwise, it's just, if you did get a lot of names, it's a lot of data entry. It's a lot of time typing things and looking at things. Sync it up. Laura said, I know what happened. Oh, Laura, you touched the screen. Yes, so we should have like a fun, artsy whiteboard. Everybody draw something together during a Zoom, and then we can all like be a little more familiar with that technology, because that threw me off. I was like, wait a minute, where did this circle come from? How did you actually do those emails, the graphics, Photoshop, or I meant how do you add the build images design? Do you have a special email program? So Beverly, so that was what we and all we're over time, but I'll pop over there real quick. So in Constant Contact, just like with MailChimp, the sidebar is an entire menu of how you build. And so the image, the text, the button, this is an image collage, right? So this has, what is that? 10 images in one. This is another collage. And then a text block, a button block, a text block, a text block, right? So it's just really just, and then here at the bottom where it has my social media platforms, that's also over here. When we click the little more button, social, and when you drag that over, it allows you to edit, and you can see here on the left, and add all of your custom links. When you add in Instagram / your art, Facebook / your art, your YouTube channel, that will be permanently logged in your email marketing system. And then anytime you pull the social media buttons from the little builder, those will auto-populate, meaning that you don't have to fill them out every time. And I did mention Canva. Right now in this, when we were looking at our slides, this is the Canva program. If I were to go home, this is what Canva looks like when you first log in. You can literally make all of these things in the proper ratio and sharpness you would need to. Infographics, CD cover, a t-shirt design, an 18 by 24 inch poster with typing on it, right? And so anything that I've made to increase the appeal of my Marin Open Studios work as well as other work, it's been using Canva. And if you are just doing like a basic, like this was one that I made for my birthday. I had a Zoom birthday party. This all came from a template. You can see here on the left, it's got uploads, photos, elements, videos. You basically can pull up any template. I'll just, let's see, add a new page. So it has a whole bunch of templates over here, And right now we are in the Facebook event cover. So this is specifically sized for social media. So you basically would just click something, it puts it there, and then you can change this photo and make it something else. You could put your art there instead. You can change this text, make it your name, your website. You can change this, you know, little icon to like a little paintbrush icon. All of this is customizable and it looks extremely professional. And the quality and the sharpness that it saves to your computer or that it prints. So like if you're, you know, making an actual invitation to a party or something that would mail out, it ends up giving you so many fun little templates that you can pull from. Imagine where you're inviting people to something, you can create this, put your name on it, put your art on it, and then you can put that on your email as like a little poster or a little announcement. So I'm going to talk to Kay, but I definitely think there would be an interest in me doing a Canva training, because that's exactly what you're asking about, Beverly. It's how to bring that kind of Photoshop, Illustrator, customized branded text effects element that makes you look that much more professional. Do you know if MailChimp has the button option? Yes, it does. MailChimp does has the button option. I know how to add a link, but I haven't found the button. I can research. So Jill, email me, and that would be an easy explanation, because like I said, a number of my current clients are MailChimpers. So my email, Jill, I know you have it, but it's in the chat. If you want to send me that question, I'll get back to you on that. So only in paid email programs? No, Beverly. So the free ones have the same building capabilities. Like I said, I didn't check out those other 5, but MailChimp does have a free capability, and it's just as, you know, interactive and user friendly as far as the different elements you can add to it. It's most of it is just click and drag and then edit. How much does Canva cost? So Jessica, Canva is free. I love it. You can pay for it, but I wouldn't. It's free. The paid one has more to do with like being a business, and like it does allow you to like make, print, or like design business cards and business flyers and like menus for your restaurant. So imagine the businesses that would pay for that. That's not necessarily most artists. YouTube has a limit on the length of video. Do you know what the limit is? Deborah, I don't, but I was under the impression that I think like 3 hours, might be 4 hours, but I'll have to get back to you on that. But not anything, you know, that would hinder you. And YouTube should also be free. Don't do the paid YouTube. Vertical response allows me to pay per name until monthly fee becomes more cost effective. Well, that's cool, Nini. I like that. Jill, Canva class, thank you. Okay, thumbs up. I'll put that in the queue. Once I put a YouTube link, the viewer is taken away from my email or website. Any way around? Oh, so Beverly, yeah. So unfortunately, you cannot, there's no way to attach the video to the email so that it plays natively. You could do that in a one-off, but when you're sending out to a list of people, there's no way to do it. And so it does take people to YouTube. The workaround, Beverly, would be that you have a picture of roughly what the video would be like a still from the video, and you can on Canva put a little white play button on there, and then you can make the image, the photo, clickable. Oops, sorry. You can make the image clickable so that it takes them to your website where the YouTube video is embedded, right? So there are definitely ways you can be fancy where you're not technically doing what we just did, the video player, you're doing a photo that has a link embedded in it. And when people tap that photo, it can take them to a page on your website. Sorry. Okay. And then Lima says 20 minutes for YouTube time. Interesting. Thank you, Lima, for that. Now I'm going to go check myself before I wreck myself, because here I was thinking you could do longer. I do know, just so everybody knows, on Facebook you can do up to 4 hours. And that's partially because they have the broadcasting Facebook Live function, and you can broadcast on Facebook for up to 4 hours. And so that's one way to work around that limit. But thank you for that, Lima. Well, this has been an appropriately long training. I'm a little over time. I really appreciate everybody for coming and attending today. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Round of applause, seal of approval. Really appreciate you guys.